In October of 2024, I challenged myself to participate in Inktober and to write a few sentences each day to accompany my inky illustrations. But what began as a fairly low-key endeavor to simply prove to myself that I was in fact capable of both narrative writing and narrative illustration ended up becoming something far greater than I ever imagined. Not only did I end up writing an entire book, which is wild, I ended up writing the book I needed as a kid. But let's rewind. So I was a weird kid. And I'm not talking about,
Oh, what a quirky little kid.
no, I was outright weird. I was the kid who obsessed over hyper-specific interests like the many different kinds of corals or finding caterpillars and raising them into moths and butterflies. And let me tell you, I would not shut up about my interests whether you wanted to hear about them or not. I was the kid who did the pledges and earned my nature protector pin at every brown sign destination on every single family vacation. I embarked on endless entrepreneurial endeavors like crafting a household newspaper or running a circus with my dog. And yes, I did charge for both of those. Needless to say, I never lacked for curiosity. Now, I firmly believe that every child is born with an innate sense of curiosity and fascination with the world around them. I recently spent a weekend with my niece and had the privilege of watching this little 18-month-old stare in wonder at the exact same leaf for 10 minutes and collect little rocks to set on the porch step. When we're little and unencumbered by things like providing for a family or the overstimulation of the internet or even just other people's opinions, we're so much more in tune with just how beautiful the world around us is and how beautiful life is. Think about it. When you were little, you probably played house. You played cook in your little kitchen and you pushed around your toy vacuum. You went to your 9-to-5 job with your suitcase filled with various papers and pencils. And you loved it. You loved this idea of life. Those simple, mundane, everyday moments, they weren't less than, they were magical. You found beauty in those everyday things that we eventually start to treat as chores, as necessary burdens between the quote-unquote fun stuff. As we get older, the voices around us, they get a lot louder. We hear more conversations between the adults in our lives, and we gain access to social media. We join in on extracurriculars that put us in contact with a whole host of different people. And every single one of these people have opinions. Some are more vocal than others, and some are more harmful than others. But somewhere along the way, someone pokes fun at the things that fascinate you. The books you like to read, or your interest in learning about herbs, or the way you still play pretend at 13. The things you like to draw, or the way you go entirely nonverbal when you listen to a good piece of instrumental music. One small word of negativity against the things that interest you calls into question whether they're worth being interested in. You hear your neighbors complaining about their 9-to-5s, that it's a burden that simply pays the bills. They talk about how no one really enjoys their job, and you start to wonder if maybe you're a little bit crazy for being excited about pursuing a career as a coffee shop barista. You view highlight reels of luxury vacations, weekend adventures, and nights out on the town, and start to forget that it's the day-to-day things like cooking and cleaning and walking the dog that make up the majority of our lives. But those things aren't glamorous. They're too mundane to show on the highlight reels. You're told that they're hindrances that keep you from doing the things you really want to do. They're chores to be dreaded rather than opportunities to care for your home and your loved ones and to be grateful for both. And suddenly, all those things we enjoyed pretending to do and be as kids, we question whether they're really worth enjoying. The world starts to tell you that you need to be more, you need to do more, you need to have more. You can't just be a barista, you need to go get a degree. You can't just stay in the position you enjoy, you need a promotion. The thrifted clothes you have aren't good enough, the vacations you take aren't big enough, those new art supplies or that new book series or those new shoes, those will make you happy. And you start to wonder if the things that you love, the things that you have, if maybe they aren't worth loving and having. If you want the truth, I think we're all a little weird as kids. We're enamored with everything life has to offer. We see beauty in the mundane moments. We find fascination in the strangest topics. We see a beautiful snail shell on the sidewalk and wonder how so many people could have passed it and not seen its beauty. All these weird ideas and interests and innate senses that make us who we are. We are born curious. We are born creative. We are born with wonder and whimsy and weirdness, and somewhere along the way, the world digs its claws in and snuffs the weirdness out. And when the weird goes away, the other things do too. When the world tells children that what interests them is not fascinating, what they enjoy is actually a burden, and what they have and do and are is never enough, it breeds discontentment. All those weird, wonderful kids become beaten down and sorrowful adults. The magic of the mundane moments no longer exists. They trade their off-the-wall interests for ones that fit societal norms. And they're always on the hunt for more because it becomes so ingrained in them that what they have is never enough. But sometimes, the weird slips through. The weird kid stays weird and becomes a weird adult. That's been my experience. I became the weird adult who will talk your ear off about micronutrients and what they do for the body, who still reads children's novels because they open up my imagination in ways that no adult novel ever has, who's also strangely obsessed with painting food. I don't know, man, food is so fun to paint. And it's not just my interests that look different, my whole life kind of does too. From living out a countercultural faith to not doing the
Young and fun in my 20s thing.
because my chronically ill life vessel has a lot lower capacity for doing things and a lot more boundaries around things like food or sleep. So if I stayed the weird way I was as a kid into my adult years, why do I think I needed this book as a child? The truth is, all those questions we talked about earlier, like, is my interest worth being excited about? Or are these mundane things worth enjoying, etc.? I still face those questions almost every day. And truthfully, I don't always hold my ground. Sometimes I do feel embarrassed about my interests. Sometimes I do feel less than for not choosing a typical career path and getting a degree. Sometimes I do feel like I would be happier if I bought that new thing that some influencer on the internet says would change my life. Every day, I face those questions, and I'm guessing you do too. I have to make the choice to embrace a slower lifestyle in a society that glamorizes hustle culture, to say no to what I don't need in a society that always tells me I need more. To be unapologetically excited about whatever new hyperfixation I have, even when it doesn't really appeal to most people. And those choices, they're not easy. I don't always make the right choice, but I do think if I'd read this book as a kid, I would have held my ground more often. But you may be wondering, what is Ivy and the Special Somethings about? So here's my little back cover synopsis. Ivy in a nutshell, if you will. Ivy, a curious and clever adventurer, is searching for special somethings to fill her special shelves when she discovers a mysterious object that allows her to see the world in a new way. Join Ivy as she faces the dangers of the forest, meets whimsical new friends, and learns to find magic in the mundane. So Ivy and the Special Somethings is my love letter to the weird kids. My encouragement to them to keep being the wonderful and whimsical and weird little people that they are, and to never let go of that curiosity and fascination for their precious little lives. While I did stay weird, it wasn't easy, and I didn't always make the right choices. I still don't. I let go of special somethings that other people said weren't worth having. I did things other people's way even when I knew it wasn't what was good for me or what I needed. I missed the magic in those beautiful, everyday moments, and please hear me, those mundane moments really are so precious. And I missed them because I believed it when the world said they weren't important. I want this storybook to be a beacon of hope for kids to hold on to, because the world is loud. There's always going to be someone telling you that your interests are silly or your simple little life is less than. And it's up to you to choose to see the magic in the mundane, to see the beauty in the overlooked and the special in the simple. I'm absolutely thrilled to share that Ivy and the Special Somethings is now available for pre-order in my shop. The book is $5 off during the sale, which ends on October 11th, so now really is the time to get it if you want to save some dough. But it's not just the book you can get. I also have some of the original ink illustrations available, such as the one you're watching me create here, as well as prints of some of the illustrations and a free downloadable coloring page. You can find all of those, as well as the book, in the video description below. I hope you enjoyed chatting with me about the beauty of being a weird kid and the importance of holding on to the weirdness. Huge thank you to the Cozy and Curious Creatives over on Patreon for helping to support my creative practice and for being such a source of encouragement throughout this whole book process. If you enjoyed watching me create this inky little illustration, then head on over to watch this video next. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.